Today, we're going to be playing one of the best Pokemon-like experiences you can play right now for under $20, and that is Nexomon Extinction, baby. Now, we've already covered the original Nexomon series over here on the channel, and so that means that we're going to be playing through Nexomon Extinction or Nexomon 2 Extinction. And luckily for all of us, you don't have to play the original Nexomon to play Nexomon Extinction, so you can pretty much pick it up right now. Oh yeah, and like, plus I'm in it too. Like, I'm actually inside the game, like, no lie. And no, this video isn't sponsored. I just feel like a lot of people should know more about this amazing Pokemon-like game, especially if you're not a fan of the new 3D transition since we moved to the Switch. But anyway, let's get into the video. Leave a like and a comment, subscribe obviously if you're new, and let's get into the video, bro. The game opens up basically retelling the story of what happened in the original Nexomon game, and basically how us, the player, and a group of friends that we made along the way banded together to destroy Omnicron, the king of Nexomon. But unfortunately, we weren't able to stop his curse. Despite that, humans have been granted the luxury of living alongside Nexomon even after the fall of their king. And after picking our playable character icon, the first thing that we see is a humongous Nexomon towering over 4 people. Meanwhile, those 4 people are cursing us, the player. A white blinding light comes out of nowhere and we wake up inside this little weird room full of other people and kids. A pink-haired girl comes into the room to remind us that today is the day that we're going to become Tamers. It turns out that the building that we're in is actually an orphanage. After walking outside, we see 2 adults and 3 other characters. The 2 adults being the mentor, the overseer of the orphanage, and Amelie, the representative of the Tamers Guild. She then tells us that we have to go into the woods up north to go and find our very own Nexomon. It's at this point that we meet the other 3 children, Coco, Ross, and Nora. Nora's like the obvious smart female character, Ross is like the bratty rival, and Coco is like the comedic relief for the silent protagonist. He's not really a tamer, he's like a Nexomon himself. Out of nowhere, in the blink of an eye, some random green-haired lady comes and tells us that something is coming. She tells us that we have to go up north to go to the fake statue and we can't go back to the orphanage because whatever is coming is gonna put everybody else in danger. Out of nowhere, this blinding light comes from the sky, and then once it crashes, it ends up being a humongous dragon. Now, obviously, we don't have a Nexomon to battle this dragon, but the green-haired lady comes and basically gives us a plethora of monsters to choose from. Now, instead of 3 starter Pokemon to choose from, you get 9 starter Nexomon from every type in the game. You battle the dragon with it, and obviously, you're no match for it, right? A random voice speaks to us out of nowhere, and a random staircase opens up from under the statue. This voice belongs to the original trainer that you play as in Nexomon 1. It turns out that this place is actually his resting place, and afterwards you can find an entire photo of him and the entire cast from the original game, and then after that he tells you how to catch Nexomon. Now, the one thing I like about this game as opposed to waiting 3 shakes for a Pokemon game is that in this game, whenever you throw a capsule at an Nexomon, you have to know everything about what you're doing. You have to put inputs in a timely manner. You have to know what Nexomon like to eat so that can be able to catch. You also get like a variety of type capsules, so not only can you throw food at the Nexomon, but you can also throw type advantage capsules at the Nexomon too. It makes these battles a lot more dynamic because there isn't necessarily a specific catch rate for a Nexomon. You have to literally sit there and dwindle it down to make it easier to catch. Oh crap, I forgot. I never told y'all who my starter was. I ended up going with Lume, or Lumi, I'm not really sure how you say the name, but the fire starter. Now, while we're out here, there are a couple of side quests that you can do. I went ahead and I picked up the pickaxe real quick because if you know this game, you know how much you can customize the strength, HP, speed, all that stuff on any Nexomon you get. Anyway, after you get done with the route, you can go back to the orphanage so we can go regroup with the rest of the people. While they're talking, you find out that dragons aren't supposed to attack humans, so that only means that a tyrant must be around somewhere. Out of nowhere, Dina, the green-haired lady that we saw earlier, comes out of nowhere from behind us, and it turns out she's actually working with the guild. Now, obviously, our character is confused because you just saw Dina in a spiritual realm, but don't worry, it's okay, and we'll find out more later. But anyway, after finding out that a tyrant must be around for a dragon to attack, Amelie tells us that we must go to the Citadel to start training and become Tamers. Once you head northeast to the capital, all you gotta do is pretty much just go to the guild and sign up. But before that, I pick up a Goatees and a Croncho from the route before because I needed a water type and a normal type Nexomon. Now, once you you get to the capital, there's a little bit of side quests you get access to that allow you to like customize your Nexomon a lot more, as well as get some extra items that you might want to get. But the main focus here for right now is to go get your badge at the guild building. And once we get our bronze badge, it's time for our very first mission. We meet a miner called Videl who talks about a lake that was frozen overnight. And of course, we got to go help her. And of course, she has absolutely no hope in all of us. But anyway, once we get inside the cave, we see Videl fall damn near to what seems like her death. But luckily in a game like this, that doesn't exist. And when we go down there, unfortunately, it looks like she's been frozen solid. Out of nowhere, a blue-haired girl called Atlanta comes out, and right behind her, her tyrant Nexomon Nivalis appears. Now her plan is to turn us into another ice statue, just like Videl is over here, and use all three of us as bargaining tokens to get the guild off her back, because they've been hunting her and Nivalis down for Lord knows how long. But unfortunately, this is our first tyrant battle. Now this battle is so hard, dude. It's been through like multiple revisions and hella updates after this. And just a heads up, don't be like me. I only had 3 Nexomon that I wanted to use, and you have access to so many before you get to battle him. So please be sure to catch them. I think he's a lot easier now. I don't know, but he was busted when I played this game the first time. But thankfully, we were able to beat him. No problem. Once we defeat Atlanta, some random guy comes out of nowhere, and it looks like he's about to catch Atlanta, but they end up leaving. Afterwards, he pretty much just tells us to go straight to the capital and go report our mission. And while we're doing that, I take the time to just go ahead and go over the core mechanics in the game. If you remember a couple of minutes ago, I actually did the side quest for the pickaxe, and just make sure that every single time you see those little rock rainbow things, you destroy them, because you're gonna need those things for cores, and those cores are gonna be able to allow you to put onto your Nexomon to make them a lot stronger and just better overall. But anyway, I do a couple of side things like going to one of the dispenser vaults inside the game. And if you don't know, dispenser vaults are actually where you can get like your companions that walk around with you, and an unlockable for the after game where you can actually catch the dragons. Spoiler alert. I also did some exploring around, and I came across the Immortal Citadel, which is very cool because it turns out this game is like low-key open world, but nobody ever like thought about it. It was very interesting, because I literally was just like, oh, we haven't even started the story stuff, so I'm just walking around. We're not supposed to be in the Immortal Citadel at all, so I took advantage and I kind of just like looked around and get some items, buy some things, and I just left out, you know? Anyway, it's time to go and submit our mission report. But as we do that, Amelie tells us more about the tyrants, because obviously we kind of owed that because we just got attacked in our mission that was supposed to happen, you know? But it turns out that tyrants are basically Nexomon that are really, really powerful, and they're trying their hardest to become the king of Nexomon and basically replace where Omnicron once stood. It turns out literally every single Nexomon that has a consciousness is trying their hardest to become the king of monsters and take over the world. Anyway, the mentor comes out from the orphanage to tell us the orphanage is actually being under attack, and so he sends us, Nora, and Ross over there to go help. Once we get there, it looks like the entire orphanage is being attacked by these weird hooded figures, and so of course we gotta squander their plans and just kind of just, you know, get them out of here as fast as possible. It turns out they're actually looking for a specific kid here at their orphanage, and we trying to, like, you know, obviously find out who it is, but trying to stop them as well. Once we beat them, a mysterious voice comes out and basically threatens us for absolutely no reason at all, and trying to like, oh, I know who you are, I know what you are, I'm gonna find you. And it's like, sir, I don't even know who you are. Mysterious voice dialogue, what are you talking about? But anyway, let's go talk to the mentor. Anyway, once we regroup with our friends, it turns out that Nora thinks that they were looking for us this entire time. And in low-key, she's right. You know, the mentor tells him to go back to the Citadel to go report to Amelie, and now we have to talk to the mentor privately. The mentor tells us that despite all the evil tyrants in the world, there is one good tyrant, the Tyrant of Light. He gives us this little like chest egg thing and tells us to go to the Immortal Citadel to find somebody who knows how to hatch the egg. And so we do exactly that. Luckily for us though, we know exactly where the Immortal Citadel is. But while we're on our way, a random girl comes out of nowhere and just bumps in front of us. She immediately gets up and just runs away from us without even introducing herself. And a mailman comes out of nowhere and tries to like talk to us for some reason. Apparently the girl stole something from him and we have to go find it. Thankfully, she's not hard to find, but she does want to battle us, and so we kind of have to make quick work of her per usual. Now at this point in time, if you've done a lot of exploring, you pretty much can just, you know, all the mons you've seen at this point are pretty much just repeats. Seeing as they give you the access to kind of just walk around and do whatever you want, you know, it's not really that much exciting, so I don't really see the need to like introduce her team because we've already seen it. I guess I have, but like, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, after we beat her, we give the letter back to the guy, and it turns out the mail that we stole, or that she stole from Buddy, is for her, and he just did not even like it's very awkward. They do a very good job at making sure that it's very awkward, like, oh, this is your letter, sorry. And we kind of just leave her alone. Anyway, we get to Eliza's manor, and Spencer, the guy from the very first game, is here as well. We do a little mini game thing, and we go inside the mansion, and we eventually find Eliza. Anyway, Eliza makes us do a whole fetch quest to stop these rampaging Nexomon. And once we finish the quest, she tells us that we're about to get attacked. And out of nowhere, this random kiss-looking admin character is here, and we have to beat him. Now, he has a team of 5 really good Nexomon. He has a Dracly, an Emberion, a Mosscat, a Rifa, and last but not least, Grimmon. Anyway, after we beat him, he runs away, of course. Like, he wouldn't stay. Come on, y'all. And it turns out the little egg that we got from the mentor is actually the Tyrant of Light itself. It turns out that in order to hatch the egg, we have to go into the world and find these shrines to go give power to the egg. Unfortunately, though, we work for an entire corporation that is against the tyrants in the first place, so it's up to us to decide whether or not we want to really revive the Nexomon. And so the game kind of questions like your morale, but you know how these games are, you don't have a choice really. She tells us to go east to Ignitia to go to the very first shrine, and we go do exactly that. But before we even leave the Immortal Citadel, we meet Dina, who tells us more about how dangerous it is to hatch that egg. But if we must insist, we have to go over to Ignitia, that you find out is a volcanic city in the middle of a desert. And if you played the first game, then you know exactly where this is at. On our way to Ignitia, you can actually find a vault inside a cave. And between here and Ignitia, it's this humongous, maybe like 2 or 3, 4 or 5 long areas. And when we finally get to Ignitia, it's revealed that since the Grunda incident back in the original Nexomon game, they built an entire city, New Ignitia, inside where Grunda used to lay. Amelia also tells us that apparently there's a tyrant that's attacking the place right now, and so of course we gotta go down there and stop it. Amelia isn't letting bronze tamers go through, but you know how Ross is. Oh yeah, and Ross is here, by the way. She ends up letting him go, and it turns out she wants us to go and help him. So now it's time to take on the fire tyrant, Moltzimer. Seeing how hard Navalis was, this time we actually have the opportunity to sit there and be prepared. So I went ahead and I changed the team around. I got a Mosscat, Mermella, Munica, or Munette, I'm pretty sure that's what it evolves into, a Karkaros, a Lumifer, and a Croncho. It turns out 6 other Tamers will be helping us with this mission because apparently this is a really big mission and none of the other guys of the higher rankings are available. And it's here that we meet this boy named Finn, who's very much like Ross. So imagine that, right? 2 smartasses like Ross in this no, throw it away, bro. While we're going down the elevator, a dragon comes and attacks us all. Now, it's very obvious that because we have a tyrant egg, the dragons are basically hunting us. Luckily, nobody dies when the dragon attacks, and we end up being okay. So now we have to rendezvous with the entire group in Ignitia. Once we get down there, it turns out that a tyrant is taking over the city, and his master is named Jin, and it's kind of interesting because he does look like a genie, and Moltzimer's like this big, like, dragon snake with like wings. It's kind of cool. He's kind of hard. I love the designs. But unfortunately for us, the entire group that we were just with ended up fighting Jin a lot earlier than us, and they lost. Obviously, they just lost. So like, obviously, you know, main character energy, it's time to come on now. You know what to do. Oddly enough, though, Jin is a very interesting character because he knows about us through the fact that we almost took down Atlanta and Navalis. But speaking about those two, it turns out that to the west, she's hiding around. So he offers us take down Atlanta for our friends unharmed. And of course, we gotta do it. We head over west to go see Atlanta, and it turns out Finn is still alive, and he comes with us to go see her. And then when we find her, it turns out Navalis is weaker from the last time that we seen it, and so she says, screw it. I'm gonna sit here and battle you my damn self, no tyrant needed. Her team consists of a Blizzarm, Nivalis itself, a rare Hyphoon, and a Domagator, which is the final evolution of our alligator Nexomon. After we end up beating her, it turns out that she has access to all the warp points because she's a former Nexomon Tamer. So she uses the warp panels to escape, and we have to go pretty much follow her. Oddly enough though, the warp panel is programmed to take you to a specific part in Ignitia that Jin blocked off. And so we go there because apparently he must be hiding something. It turns out what he was hiding is actually the ruins that we're supposed to be looking for to enhance our egg. And when we get inside, oddly enough, Fenrir is here. Now, if you don't know who Fenrir is, 1,000 years ago is where the events of Nexomon 1 take place. But in this game, it really isn't that important because pretty much these guys are ghosts in this game and they just give you your power. But anyway, we have to fight Fenrir, or Fauna, in this game, and his redesign is really beautiful, dude. Now his battle isn't necessarily hard because we were already gonna fight Mulcimer with this, so like it's whatever, but he has a lot of HP, so prepare to use a lot of your items. Anyway, after beating him, it turns out that the egg wants more power, and so his power wasn't really enough, but the egg kind of comes off as a HM slave, so now we can harness the powers of the elements that get added to the egg. But now that we have this amazing power, it's time to go fight Jin and Mulcimer. Once we get there, it's kind of obvious he doesn't think that we have any type of way to like battle him, but luckily we do, thanks to Fenrir. And he is scared. The very moment he found out that we were hatching a tyrant, he immediately attacked us. Now, unless you sat here and overleveled your entire team, he should be around the same level as you. He has a team of 5 Nexomon, a level 20 Corrosion, a level 21 Basina, one of my favorite Nexomons in the game, Grath, or Groth, I'm not really sure. A beautiful level 18 Rasonic, which is like a little Butterfree looking thing. It looks amazing, bro. And last but not least, Mulcimer. Now, despite being level 19, Mulcimer has the most HP on this guy's team. Even after beating him, turns out he's a sore loser, but out of nowhere, this weird looking samurai lady called Lydia comes, and she basically is like, look, that boy Jin changes his entire dialogue boxes whenever she arrives, and it's amazing to see. She ends up defeating Jin, and that's pretty much it. It turns out Lydia is a master of all trades. She not only owns a tyrant, but she also controls the dragons in the region. She invites us to her place over in the Drake Isles, and we don't really have a choice because that's where the next shrine is gonna be. When we go back to the Citadel to report to Amelie what we have done, we get upgraded from a bronze tamer to a silver tamer. When Amelie asks us to tell her what happened back when we were in Ignitia, we do, and she basically tells us that, oh, hey, you guys can go see Lydia. Obviously, we're a little hesitant because Lydia is, I don't know, she has a lot of things that we don't like normally, but because she's our ally, Amelie kind of like lets it happen. The only way we can get to Lydia is if we take the airships to the east of the city. When we get to an airship though, a mysterious dragon armored boy is angering the security, and he runs to the airship and we have to go find him. When we find him, he tells us about a building that angered the dragons apparently, and so he wants to show us it, and I guess we gotta go. And let me tell you something, when you get to the Drake Isles, bro, you're gonna be blown away at how beautiful this place is. There's also a lot of new and rare Nexomon in this little vicinity, so if you want to like sit down and just try to like look around and talk to everybody and capture all the mons you want, you can. On our way to the village, we were ambushed by 5 cultists who were honoring Omnicron's children's legacy, and they revealed to Lydia that we have a tyrant egg, but we have to beat them. It doesn't really matter, they die. Anyway, while we're on this island, I decided to go and look for some more Nexomon to catch and use in our team, and I have a really good base setup what we're going off with right now. I have Voltaic, Dratter, Domagator, Rostung, Lomare, and Fele Blanco. Yeah. Listen, I'm so sorry. These names are very interesting, but listen, this team looks amazing. Am I wrong? Am I right? Come on, chat. Run it. Come on. We head over to the east to find Lydia being attacked by one of her very own dragons, and even she's surprised they're attacking her and being so rabid. Out of nowhere, Xander comes out, the guy that basically is like the second in command of the guild. Him and Lydia have like a back and forth, but that's pretty much it. And then out of nowhere, the same dragon that attacked Lydia attacks Xander, and Xander takes a full fire blast from the dragon. This guy is a Dragon Ball Z character, bro. He then beats the dragon hard enough to the point where we can battle it now. But anyway, it's time to go see Lydia and her tyrant, and then she tells us that, hey, something's wrong because my dragons aren't supposed to be doing this. There is a tyrant around here somewhere. We just don't know where it's at. And the only way that it can be is the building that what's his name needs to go to. And so obviously it's time to go ahead and find this place. And find this place we do, because to the east, there is a shrine for Ventra the Tempest. Now again, if you don't know who this is one of Omnicron's children from the original game in Nexomon, and she has the same attitude and she's still as strong as she was in the original game. A little lore for anybody who hasn't played the original Nexomon game, but this is one of the worst battles ever. At one point, Ventra was so hard that the developers had to go through multiple revisions of her boss fight to make her balanced in where her location was for the players that were playing, because they were complaining so much. But obviously in this game, I wouldn't say she's easier, but you know, we're just better. And unfortunately, she has a lot more HP than normal. She has 324 HP. Her level is still kind of a mystery, but for the most part, it ain't nothing to do. She's not that crazy. Just go crazy with the, you already know what to do. She's a wind type, so now it's gonna just go ahead with electric, and I think rock as well. We should be fine. But anyway, now that we've beaten her, unfortunately the same thing happens like it did with Fenrir. We do not have the ability to hatch the egg, but we do have the ability to be able to jump far and high distances, all thanks to her wind abilities. Now that we have this ability, we're finally able to go into the building that the guild has been hiding from everybody else, minus the renegades. And Lydia challenged us to a battle, saying that, hey, you might question the guild after you go up in there, because the truth is gonna come out and your loyalty to the guild will be tested. But before that, battle me. And we do exactly that. Now, I wouldn't say she's hard, but she's really, really good. She has a team full of dragons. She has a level 28 Dratter, a level 27 Oregon, a level 29 Voltaic, a level 27 Blizzard, and last but not least, a level 27 Eros. After beating Lydia, she submits to you and basically says, let's go find the truth of why our dragons are going crazy. All you gotta do is head up north, and once we get inside the building, as you can see, this place is a wreck. Now, as you go through this place, Lydia will tell you more about the lore of this place and how Amelie wanted to create a weapon that could defeat the tyrants once and for all, that she could totally control. You also find out that the reason that the dragons don't attack Eros is because they think that Eros is their king of monsters. But not only that, if you remember, I literally just talked about how Amelie spent the last 15 years trying to create a Nexomon to destroy the tyrants. Well, it turns out the reason that Lydia, Jin, and Atlanto are all branded as renegades were because they rejected the idea that Amelie was trying to do. But it's safe to say that Amelie succeeded, and we know what happened. Out of nowhere, a strange explosion comes from outside, and it turns out we are being attacked by the guild, and it's time to go ahead and face them ourselves. Once we get to the main lobby, the main gates are open, and it turns out Amelie is inside of the base because only she has access to that room. Lydia seizes the opportunity to go ahead and attack Amelie before anything else happens, and so we have to follow her. And once we walk inside, Lydia is on the floor. One of the strongest people in this game is on the floor cowering, and Amelia summons Nora and Ross, and unfortunately we have to battle them both. Now obviously we're a lot stronger than them, so it doesn't really matter that much, but you know, whatever, bro. And it's so funny because as Emily is trying to plead her case, she stumbles over her words and gives us the name of her secret weapon, Vados. After revealing the name, everybody realizes that she's been lying to every single person, and obviously Amelie tries to play the whole, you guys don't understand the grand scheme here, our world is crumbling, we need a weapon, this is my thing, I'm here to save the world, and obviously we have to stop her. She's the antagonist now. She then ends up summoning Vados, and wow, when I tell you, this Nexomon is amazing. One of the best designed Nexomon in the game. He reminds me a lot like Dragoon, the Beyblade. Anybody remembers that? Nobody? Okay, I'll fall back. I'm an old man. I get it. It's cool. But anyway, she does the whole high horse spiel and ends up attacking us and destroying the island that we're on, sending us all down to our graves, and we're about to die. But as we're falling, a weird wind bubble starts to form around us and our friends, so it's safe to say Ventra is obviously helping us. But then once we fall and hit the floor in the ice biome, Arqua, one of Omnicron's other children, comes and drags us to a room where it's found out that everybody else survived that entire fall. Thank goodness. After rendezvousing with everybody, it turns that Emily has finally went into hiding after revealing her big secret. And now it's time for us to work in the shadows as new renegades. Once we go outside though, we're in a whole new area in the map, and there's so many Nexomon and battles you can go through. And so definitely should take your time to explore. I don't really catch anything new here. I kind of just wander about looking for treasures and ores, you know what I'm saying? And eventually we meet up with Videl, the same miner that we helped on our very first Nexomon mission. And it turns out that she needs help trying to get into this bunker that's been kind of locked. So after going through a whole bunch of ordeals to go and grab her TNT, it's time to go ahead and set the bunker. Once we get inside, the system's defense starts to activate and we get attacked by Ivan, a character from the original Nexomon game. But obviously it's not the real Ivan because the real Ivan is dead. And oddly enough, there's wild encounters inside this bunker despite it being locked before we got here. But you know what, it's perfectly fine because we end up finding a Yam Nam, and basically that's our final team member, so like we catch it obviously. But anywho, once we get to the very tail end of the bunker, it turns out that Atlas, the companion from the Nexomon 1 game, or a little robot companion sidekick thing, is hidden inside of this place. But before we even open it, Dina comes out of nowhere. Dina reveals that she's the Tyrant of Life, one of Omnicron's children that ended up living the events that led to all their deaths in the original Nexomon game. But before she can even explain herself, Xander, the same guy that attacked the dragon and fought and won low-key, comes in and challenges Dina to a battle. Dina transforms, and I mean, she sends this man Xander flying through walls, bruh. And it doesn't kill him, oddly enough. He gets up, about to attack her, but we jump in and intervene. You know how we do, main character energy, stop playing with me. We battle Xander, and I just gotta say, he is no joke. He comes with a level 35 Shardberg, a level 36 Tressar, a level 35 Voltaic, a level 34 Sinterror, a level 34 Rust Tongue, and last but not least, a Blaze Tilia level 35. After beating him, he ends up running away, never to be seen again for the time being. And a weakened Dina basically admits that they made a humongous mistake in killing Omnicron back then, but she then mentions how us and Atlas are the main key to saving the world. Suddenly the room starts shaking and the doors open, revealing Atlas coming out from the inside and him and Coco having a character moment like on some fourth wall stuff. I love it a lot. The camera switches over to Amelie and Vados, who are hiding in this underwater base, and this weird scientist looking character named Logan comes and tries to like tell her, hey, why don't we just send all the people after Nick? You know, why can't we just attack him? And Emily's like, you know what, it doesn't matter. Whoever wins first, it does not matter. The tyrants must go, and that's final. Anyway, the camera pans back to us, and it turns out Dina didn't explain her plan to anybody. But we're sent off on a mission to go north of the city, and so we go do exactly that. We go up north, and it turns out this is a very, very, very big mission. Edward has like us and 4 other Tamers, but luckily we get there first, and it turns out Merida, or Arqua, is here to introduce herself to us, and obviously Atlas, who knows more about her and who has battled her in the past, runs away from her. It turns out there are humans that are occupying Omnicron's tower, and in order to get her powers, we have to go and stop them and take them out of her tower, you know? We get inside, and unfortunately we have to battle literally every single Tamer inside this place. It turns out this is a Omnicron cult. Now, while we go through this tower, literally there are so many things that happen, bro. Atlanta and Navalis come back to life out of nowhere. Like, where did y'all come from? Fenrir returns again for some reason. And so does Nadine, who tells us that they know the location of Amelie. Atlas then tells us that it's kind of weird the old tyrants from the past are being really, really nice and cooperative with us, so they're confused. But meanwhile, while we're inside the tower, 2 dragons come out of nowhere and attack everybody. After beating the dragons, everybody leaves, and before we leave, Eliza comes out of nowhere and tells us to look for the blueprints in the crates and to not give them to Edward at all. Oh, and Merida gives us her powers. Once we get back to the orphanage, it turns out that Amelie is underwater. Well, we already knew that, but you know, the character, the plot, you know what I'm saying? But anywho, we have to go into the pod and go down underwater to Cadium. Once we get down there though, unfortunately, all the inhabitants seem to be dummies. They all can't speak English, and so we have to find somebody who can speak English for us to progress into the story. And eventually we do. We find some guy in this like little weird plant area who tells us that Emily is here. She's actually a frequent guest to the point where she has a nickname. And in order to get to her, we have to gain the trust of the president, who is the reason why the people of this place are so stupid. And it turns out that in order to get his favor, we have to go and battle in his tournament because apparently he's just so dumb. And so we do exactly that by battling a plethora of Tamers, and turns out the king of this place is nobody else than Zeta, or Lucia, one of Omnicron's children. It turns out that we didn't need to actually beat the tournament, but thankfully Lucia gives us the last of his powers, and we're fine. We can go find Vados now. He gives us the key to Emily's lab, and it's time to go grab him. Once we get inside, we gotta do a lot of puzzles, and these puzzles are relatively easy for the most part. You just gotta use Zeta's power in order to, like, you know, get through it because it's an electric based puzzle. But anyway, when we get to Amelie, it turns out that most of what happened that led the human population of the world to ruin is because of Emily and her rule. And so Vados is her way to redeem herself by not only destroying the Titans, but regaining everyone's favor because she kind of messed everything up. As Lydia is about to attack Emily, Logan comes out of nowhere and summons his tyrant, Bolzan. And of course, we have to battle it. Now this thing has 542 health points, and so you pretty much have to sit there and dwindle down the rest of, you know, just sit there and just spam items to heal up because this thing is annoying. It hits so hard. This boss fight. Inferno, make sure you make sure you center this. Anyway, after beating him, Emily sends Vados off out via rocket ship, and she somehow disappears. I'm not sure how that happened, but I don't know. But anyway, unfortunately, we failed our mission and it's time to go back to the surface. But as we get to the surface, literally everybody is here waiting for us. She has branded us traitors to the guild, and thus we're wanted criminals now. And so we've been arrested. Anyway, thankfully, because we're in jail, Luxa comes out of nowhere, or Zeta, whatever you want to call him, it's whatever, it doesn't matter, right? And zaps the guards and frees us. Or so we think, because him being dead for so long means he's a lot weaker and he can't attack the guards themselves. Thankfully, the real savior comes out, our mentor from the orphanage, and he basically knocks out the guards and opens up the gates. And now it's time to escape from prison. You have to go through this crazy stealth mini game and try to not get caught by any of the guards. It's kind of easy, but if you kind of like try to speed through, you will fail. You have to get all your stuff first and then you have to leave. Randomly though, Edward is outside of the prison and I don't know why, but he's trying to help us. We come outside after breaking out and he's just like, oh, well, that just saved me the trouble of breaking inside my damn self. And so we have to come talk to him. Now, we have to go to the observatory to go meet with the mentor. But before we do that, I wanted to go and do a lot of like side content and kind of explore around this place because we haven't been in the desert at all. And so we do exactly that. I go into one of the Spencer vaults. I go do some of the side quests in the little area. And that's pretty much it, really. Anywho, once we get to the observatory, it's revealed that we are Dina's son, and not only that, a descendant of Omnicron himself. But then not only that, it's revealed that the mentor is Grunda, and that him and Dina devised an entire plan before our birth to basically raise us in the orphanage, and that the egg that we have been pretty much trying to hatch is a fake egg. And that all the power-ups that we've been getting while we've been like adventuring are not really inside the egg, but in us ourselves. And then it's also revealed that the dragons, every time they come out of nowhere to attack us, is because we are a tyrant ourselves. And that the incident that happened 15 years ago wasn't because of the tyrant outbreak, it was because we were born. But not only that, while we're getting the lore dumped out on us, Emily revealed Vados to the public and they're all accepting of it. Or technically they don't have a choice, because what are you gonna do? Fight Vados? Come on, y'all. Now I know this is a lot of story, but trust me, there's more. We get interrupted during our family reunion by a guard who tells us that we have to go back to the barracks to go see Edward and the leader of the place, just to find out there is a tyrant to the east of Laterra that we have to go and fight ourselves. When we get over there, pretty much all the Laterra guards have pretty much been defeated already by Selene and Petrum. And Petrum is this humongous, gigantic tyrant. When we get there, we freeze Petrum, and now it's gonna fight Selene ourselves 1v1. Now, she's not necessarily easy, but you know, she has a full team of 6 mons. It should be whatever. She has a level 42 Ecliptera, I think that's how you say his name. A level 42 Minotaur, a level 43 Oregon, a level 43 Sycopha, a level 43 Bomblasta, and last but not least, a level 44 Wargorl. Even though he defeated Selene, unfortunately, freezing Petrum didn't really do much, and he's able to be free again. And this time, we have to actually fight Petrum our damn selves, and he has 600 plus HP, bruh. I got really lucky freezing him on the brink of death, and so I pretty much just kind of just destroyed him. It wasn't easy, but you know, a couple items here and there, it was all right. But anyway, after we beat her, it turns out that Vados can actually destroy anything on this planet. And so because us and Petrum are inside the same area, Vados is able to not only find us, but to find Petrum as well. She sends out a humongous wave, and I mean a humongous blast to destroy Petrum. Eliza comes out of nowhere, teleports us away from the beam, and literally we sit there and watch Petrum die. After the blast subsides, a humongous crater is left, and Selene is in shock. Unfortunately, Lydia, Ross, and Nora are there at the end of the fight, and Ross and Nora basically give up all hope fighting Vados. Which, I mean, can you really blame them? Because, like, you saw what happened to Petrum, right? Anyway, now that everybody has pretty much abandoned the mission, it's time to go back to Laterra to go and I guess regroup with Atlas and our guild master mentor. And it turns out that we must recruit the other tyrants that we've seen during our adventures in order to beat Vados. So essentially, we have to get every single person that has been a threat to us on our side to beat something that is not even a Nexomon, you know? And so we gotta start off with Lydia first, but out of nowhere, Hannah, the thief from the Immortal Citadel, comes out and steals Atlas from us. She ends up running to a cave that's to the south of Laterra, and we have to find her and Atlas, which is funny because they're actually near Grunda's body. After we beat her, Grunda comes out of nowhere and basically tells her the story, which is kind of weird because I don't know why he's talking to like a random thief. But, you know, I'm not here to, I don't know. But anyway, now it's time to go and recruit our Nexomon tyrants. We get to the Drake Isles and we use the tyrant scanner that Atlas has. And it turns out that we have to go and recruit the 4 tyrants that are still alive right now. Unfortunately for us, oh my goodness, Vado also has the ability to scan for the available tyrants. And so guess what he does? He sends a humongous Omega Blast and destroys all the tyrants in the vicinity. And I just gotta say, I've never seen Lydia's character so hopeless, but it just looked like she just gave up hope entirely. And it really does suck to see because I really have grown attached to this character because she's kind of like the wisest of the tyrant renegades. And I don't know, it's just a really good character all in all. But out of nowhere, some weird voice comes and tells us there is one more tyrant that Vados wasn't able to find. This humongous forest spirit is the one that's talking to us, and we have to go meet him in this little weird forest that's to the west of the Citadel. And so we gotta do exactly that. It turns out this mysterious tyrant is literally inside the hidden village from the first Nexomon game. It turns out Dina had a backup plan and knew that Vados would destroy all the tyrants in case it was revived fully. As we're about to learn Dina's backup plan, unfortunately the Tamer's guild was able to get inside the village because we were, and so they attacked the village trying to find our new friend. It turns out that Eliza's mentor Hilda, the person from the first game, is also in this secret village as well, or technically her spirit resides in this city. It's revealed to us that because we are Nara's son and her power is to be able to manipulate life, we're able to revive the tyrants ourselves. And Takala, the Nexomon that caught us over here in the first place, was able to freeze their souls from transitioning into the next life so that we can be able to revive them ourselves. He summons these little teleporters that are gonna be able to take us to where the tyrants died, and so a lot of things happen in these places. And the Drake Isles, Xander tries to like stop us from reviving Eros, and Ventra comes to basically stop him, and thankfully with her help we were able to actually revive Eros, and he's on our team now. Same thing goes for Mosimer. We were able to revive him after stopping some rich people from taking advantage of his soul, and instead of fighting somebody to try to stop us from reviving him, he actually wants us to prove to him that we have what it takes to be his king, and we defeat him. The next one is Navalis, whose soul is trapped inside the tower, but what sucks about that is unfortunately the Omnicron cultists basically do their thing where they try to stop us because we're renegades still, but after beating them they pledge allegiance to us. For Bolzen we have to go back to Cadium, but this time Ziegler, the Lord of the Underworld, comes because he's tired of us reviving all all the Tyrants, and so we have to defeat him. Now, Ziggler is a character that you have to have played the original game for, but for the most part, you kind of can just, I don't know. I feel like his inclusion in this game is kind of just like an Easter egg, and I guess because he's like an overarching power in the world, but to understand his character and why he's like the way that he is, you have to play the original game. But anyway, after defeating him with the help of Hilda and Eliza, we are actually able to get Bolzan finally. And for Petrum, we have to help Latera basically take over an outpost from the guild. But for the most part, we kind of get him back no problem. He pledged allegiance to our cause. And of course, Vado is very aware of the entire thing, and so is Amelie. Now that we've collected all of the Tyrants, we return to Takala, who tells us it's about time we finally go and attack Vados. But before any of that happens, the Tamers of all of the past Tyrants comes to help us out and pledge their allegiance to our cause as well. Once we get back to the capital, we have to take on the Grand Master quest. And after beating 3 trainers and the admin lady, we get our very own battleship that we need to go and attack Vados. Once we meet with everybody else, it's time to devise our plan to get Vados outside of the city using our airship. But now it's time to go attack the capital. When we get there, Xander of all people is waiting for us, and you know how this is gonna go. It's time for our final battle. He has a level 62 Boilgog, a level 61 Groth, a level 61 Wargoyle, a level 61 Rust Tongue, and I'm missing like one more Mon, but it doesn't really matter because it's not really a new Mon. It's just a Mon that you can just go through anyway. I just didn't have the type for it, and he was going, you know, ham. So it's whatever, just use your items and you won. Anyway, now that we're done with him, we finally get to the top of the tower to find Vados, who you find out has been expecting us this entire time, and there's no sign of Amelie anywhere. And of course, Vados thinks that all Nexomon, specifically the Tyrants, are all bad, and basically curses us, the new king of Nexomon, and attacks us. All of our guild friends come out of nowhere, and Emily basically exposes our identity as a tyrant ourselves. And thankfully, because of the amazing friends that we have gained throughout this entire adventure, we are not alone up here, and they resist. Unfortunately for us though, we have to fight Edward, and I'm not gonna hold you, this part does suck for me, because I actually like Edward. He's one of the cooler Grand Masters of the guild. But either way, he got to get these hands. He has a level 61 Domigator, a level 63 Fourier, a level 61 Goldblatt, a level 61 Grotto, and last but not least, a level 61 Lemiri. Oh crap, I'm sorry. He has a level 63 Shardberg too. Now that he's been defeated though, we have a heartwarming moment with all of our friends. You know, they do the whole, you know, we don't care that you're a Nexomon, you're our friend first. Let's go battle Vados, and we all go and confront him. And now, honestly, this is one of my favorite moments in this game. Inferno, play the clip.
Gang of useless tyrants, a feeble handful of Nexomon slaves. Is that all you have, Nick? Is this how your final stand shall be? We have an airship, huh? What did you say? An airship? Oh, yo!
It turns out our plan worked, but unfortunately for us, that's not all there is to it. Eliza comes and tells us that we have to destroy Vados while he's injured by the ship before he gets to where the ship is headed. She then teleports us to the ship, and now it's time to go fight Vados. And no lie, this Vados battle is crazy. This guy has 976 HP and 855 stamina. He has all of our friends literally near his feet, trembling in defeat. Once you get to a certain point in this battle though, a cutscene activates, and it turns out that all of our efforts are for naught. But thankfully though, it's time for a shonen moment. Omnicron's children show up, and with that, we awaken our true form. Now you're probably noticing, oh my god, this is the Nexomon from the cover of the game. And yes it is. We have ascended, everybody, and now it's time to go ahead and fight Vados 1v1 Nexomon versus fake Nexomon thing. And our battle is so crazy, it destroys the battleship and we crash into the mountaintop. Once we wake up, it's very clear that we both survived, and now it's time to go and battle Vados, who, can I just say, has an amazing monologue in this part of the game. He goes on a humongous rant about how he isn't the product of evil, he's a product of desperation, and it's kind of true. You see, technically, we're recreated in Omnicron's image. We're his descendant. And back then, Omnicron's mission was to destroy all the humans. And so because we defeated Omnicron and the Nexomon were able to survive and be born over and over and over again, obviously the rise for power and the rise for killing other humans started happening, and so humans had to find a way to fight back, and that's why he was created. Suddenly, Emily appears and challenges us to a battle, and so of course we have to destroy her. She has a level 63 Nusadal, a level 63 Fele Blanco, a level 63 Hanok, a level 62 Tressar, a level 62 Namansi, and last but not least, she has the dragon that attacked us back in the Drake Isles that Xander defeated. And it turns out Vados was using our battle to sit there and restore his energy, and he goes ahead and transforms to his ultimate form. Now, I know a lot of people complain about this battle because in this battle, he does this thing where he constantly regens his life to where you have to sit there and just keep healing up. Even then though, it's very apparent that our own Nexomon are not going to be strong enough to stop Vados, and so we must transform into us. Even with our true form though, our power is not enough, but thankfully we have our tyrant friends to give us power. And I gotta say, bro, we transform into one of the coldest monster taming Pokemon things I've ever seen in my life, bruh. We transform into Omnisun, the most broken thing in this game. And Vados is no joke either. He has 1500 HP, but we also have access to all the tyrants on our team plus ourselves. So as a unit, we have to destroy Vados, who constantly changes the map layout. And let me tell you something, this boss fight is insane, bro. After a battle that seemed like forever, we finally defeated Vados, and oh my god, peace can finally happen. To everybody's surprise though, we end up reviving Vados and chaining his life force to us. Now, a lot of people are confused, but don't worry, I got you. You see, we both yearn for peace, but the difference is one of us is a real Nexomon and the other one isn't. As long as we work towards peace, it doesn't matter what way is right or wrong. But of course, Vados is not trying to hear any of that at all, and he ends up having a nervous breakdown and he ends up leaving. Amelie gets arrested for her entire involvement in the story for the last 15 years, and now the credits roll. And that, my friends, is Nexomon Extinction. Now, this game has a lot of after game content. You can go and catch all of Omnicron's children. You can go hunt for all the dragons, all of the Spencer vaults, which is how you're gonna be able to catch the dragons in the first place. You can go catch Ziggler and his wardens in the wild now. You can also go find Vados, catch him and evolve him, and make peace with him. There's an end credit scene that alludes to Nexomon 3, which they are working on, by the way. And last but not least, the free Nexomon Extinction Abyssal DLC that came out a couple of months ago back in 2022. Now listen, all that stuff, I want you all to go experience for yourself. This is not a sponsored video, of course. This is just an amazing game that I feel like you all should be, you know, invested in as well if you like Pokemon content. Oh, and I'm also in the game as well. Did I not mention that? But of course, that's the end of this video. Hope you guys enjoy it. Leave a like, a comment, and subscribe for some more Pokemon content. And I mean more Pokemon-like content. I know this video is kind of different from Pokemon, but it's the same realm. You know what I'm saying? Listen, hey, subscribe to the channel. Go to SacredAlmighty.com. Sign up for the $5 tier to support the boy. It helps pay the editors, help pay the channel. YouTube is not paying, trust me. But let's get up into it. To the next video. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.